Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Webinar Wednesdays. Today, we're going to talk about employability skills, more specifically, the framework for the employability skills. This workshop is designed to provide you with more information about the employability skills framework, which is one of the key components of WIOA and also FICAPS that your school districts are implementing at the moment. So I think that we have a lot of information to share with you on how you can incorporate employability skills into your daily instruction. My name is Ronald Cruz. I am the coordinator of the Caribe Refugee Program. I'm going to be facilitating today's webinar. I am from Hillsborough County Public Schools. I am also the statewide facilitator and trainer for ESOL, ABE, and GED through the Florida IPDE, the Institute for Professional Development of Adult Educators. Let's talk about our agenda for this afternoon. I'm going to go over some housekeeping reminders, and I'm also going to talk about the objectives. And then after that, I'm just going to hold on. I think I just need to set the timer for this. I didn't know that there was a timer. What's going on? So it's not advancing the slides as I go. I apologize for that. There is no timer. Okay. So we're going to talk about some reflection questions to get us started about the importance of employability skills. And then we're going to move on to the actual framework, talking about the three major categories of this framework: applied knowledge, effective relationships, and then workplace skills. And then after that, we're going to do a quick summary. I'm going to show you a couple of videos that would kind of re-emphasize the importance of this framework, and then move on to evaluation. At this point, if you have any questions regarding, throughout the webinar, you can always use the Q&A button at the top portion of your toolbar. Just click on that. You can type questions there. You can type answers as well. I will be asking questions throughout the webinar to just elicit some information from you and set the stage for the information that I'm going to be providing. Your microphones are currently muted. You will be on listen-only mode. However, I will be reading out your answers and your questions as we go along, as I encounter them. I'm not going to answer your questions immediately as they pop up, so just wait until I get to to the point in the presentation where I'm going to answer the questions, and then we'll move on from there. Sometimes when we run out of time for me to answer the questions, I would email the participants directly regarding some questions that hasn't been answered through the webinar. Today's presentation is about an hour. It is being recorded and it will be archived in the IPDE website within 48 hours of this broadcast. If there are no more questions, I'm just going to go ahead and proceed. Employability skills, you see this on Facebook posts, on Twitter. Attitude is everything. And that's kind of what I tell my students all the time, is that their attitude towards anything is not so much as their preparedness, it's not so much as their how much how hard they work. It's all about the attitude that moves them forward, and having a positive attitude always is very good for any environment, whether it is a school environment or a workplace environment. So really important things. So I'm gonna ask you a question. And with this, I would like for you to use your chat bar or your Q&A bar to answer some of these questions. This question right here: in what field do you see your students when they enter the workforce? So we're going to pause for a few minutes to allow for some of you to type in your questions, your answers to this question, and then we'll move forward. what I wanted to see is that I wanted to get a feel of what types of students do you have? What do they want to be? Are they striving to be in the medical field? What are they a good mix of different careers? Are they planning to go into higher education? There's many things that your students are, and one of the key the key skill or key things that teacher need to know is the student goals. What are their academic goals and what are they striving towards? Because then the more we know about it, the more we'll be able to the more we'll be able to help them and cater the instruction for them. So I'm gonna hear. I have some answers here. Harold is mentioned that his students are composed of healthcare, construction, retail, customer service. Maureen talked about early education teachers, which is very good. It's always nice to have some aspiring teachers in our classroom. Janaya Jones talked about the service industry, the hospitality industry. Florida is very well known for its hospitality industry. Orlando area, if we have some Orange County teachers here, that's a very popular field that most adult education students are going into because of the big opportunities for businesses. We have Universal Studios, we have Disney World. Automotive is also another thing that's very popular that Janaya mentioned here. Not only are they good paying jobs, but they're pretty stable jobs to be in. Cosmetology, business technology, computer programming is very popular, as according to Cynthia. Just because of the technology or the world that we live in, we are immersed in technology, and students come to our classroom already with the technology, the know-how on how to work the technology. And so therefore teaching them these skills comes second nature to our students. Eric talked about medical field. Yes, Florida is a retirement state. So the medical field is very popular in many areas here in Florida. So health careers, I see it from many people's responses. Miss Bryant talked about medical assisting, medical field, according to Miss Melissa. Rob talked about nursing. So a lot of the medical field is really dominating your responses. Thank you very much for your responses. So now let's pause for a second and answer the next question. Imagine you're at an interview for your dream job. How will you sell yourself to a potential employer? So let's just say put yourself into the shoes of your students, and then ask yourself, how would I sell yourself to a potential employer? Imagine you're facing your potential boss. How will you sell yourself? What skills are you going to highlight? What skills are you going to talk about, mainly that you think they're looking for? And then what skills are you going to demonstrate right on the spot during that interview question or during that interview process? So I'm going to pause for a minute and also, again, allow you to answer these questions. And then hopefully we can spark the discussion of what skills are you going to sell. When you first walk into that interview, you never know what they're looking for in particular, but there are general things that, depending on the field that you're applying for, there are general things that they're actually looking for. And these things are really good indicators of whether you get the job or not, or you get invited to a second interview. So I'm gonna start. Oh, I see a lot of answers here. Thank you. Ms. Moore talked about being prompt, being early, professionally dressed, and then do a little bit of a research and know the mission of the company. That's so important. Your punctuality, it really says a lot about how punctual you will be in the actual workplace. Chris talked about this today, and I think she talked about this today in class. Reliability and hard working. You want to demonstrate reliability in terms of your responses and your experiences when you share that with your potential employer, and showing them that you are hardworking, and talking about some things that some of your experiences, or relating your experiences that attest to how hard you work. Being a team player, this is very common. We talk about this a lot in our classroom. We use this as a motivator for students to really be more open to cooperative learning activities. When we group them in small groups, this is what we're trying to do with them. Is to be a team player and learn from one another. And that response was from Miss Melissa Bivens. Paul Sanchez talked about 21st century skills. So this is more on the information technology skills and how do you collaborate in the world of technology, especially if you're going in and you wanted to apply for, let's say, Amazon, which is, there's one big warehouse and one big office here in Ruskin here, very, very close to Tampa. And in the workplace in that situation is very, very different from a normal workplace that is not immersed in information technology. Gloria talked about their educational background. A lot of employers wanted to know what you have accomplished in terms of your education. Melinda talked about team player, again, being repeated. Eric is talking about how to solve problems and demonstrate that you are a problem solver during that interview process. Keep in mind that in majority of interviews, they're not only going to ask you some direct information that you want to share. A lot of the interviews right now is actually more on how they're going to react to certain situations, and being highlighting how well you can solve a particular problem, let's say faced in a scenario that's given to you by your interviewer, will highlight how well you can work with others and use necessary resources for you to be able to solve the problem. Confidence. It's all about confidence. Maureen just brought that up. And confidence is really important. It really highlights what I said earlier. Its attitude is everything. So if you come in and show how confident you are, how motivated you are, according to Jacqueline, and knowing and demonstrating how much knowledge you have, not only about the company, but about the work that you're about to take on, is really, really important. Diversifying your skill, according to Vincent, is also very important. So these are all very good. Keep these responses coming. Cynthia just listed down a list of things that she wants her students to be focusing on. Is soft skills, being professional, being articulate, proper use of grammar in spoken language, knowledge, experience, and how organized you are. How well can you adapt to situations that you're not comfortable with? And this is something that is being emphasized by Miss Maureen. And also interpersonal skills. I'm very glad Paul brought that up. Those are very, very important things that are really important that we stress to our students, that these are the things that you want to highlight during the interview. So now let's go on and answer the next question. So while we brainstormed all of these things, the skills and traits you see important to your students may not be the same things that they are looking for. So we need to kind of step back a little bit and ask ourselves, are these skills that I'm doing in the classroom, or that I am developing with my students, are these the same things that the potential employer is looking for? More importantly, are the skills that you're focusing in class in terms of instruction, and not only just management of your classroom, but also your instructional content, how does that align with the perfect job that your students are preparing for? Like if you have a majority of, let's say, medical field students, it would be beneficial for them if the word problems in mathematics are in the context of the medical field, or if you have some readings in science or in reading that are more technical and less of those fictional texts, but giving them more non-fictional texts, focusing a little bit more in the context of the medical field, would be very beneficial, because you're going to be hitting two birds with one stone. Not only are you helping them pass the GED or the TABE test, but you're also helping them with their potential job that they're preparing for. So the question is there a common set of core skills that these employers are looking for? Because we've mentioned quite a bit, but is there somewhat of a core? Can we summarize these skills in general and then clump them together into major categories so that we have a broad sense of how are we going to tackle onto these skills? How are we going to integrate these skills in our daily instruction, so that we're always hitting multiple birds with one stone? And that's where this employability skills framework comes into play. When I was, as a teacher, I didn't know anything about these employability skills. In the past, we had this course or program offering called workplace preparation skills. Workplace readiness skills is what it is. And I don't know, it's not being offered now. It's no longer one of the program, but in the past, as an adult education teacher, I just tell myself, well, all my students are going to be ending up in that class or signing up for that class anyway. Let me just focus on my content and just hammer hard on GED, because I know they're going to get into the workplace readiness skills. Well, first of all, not every student will sign up for that program. Now that program is no longer available. And what we need to understand is that the college and career readiness standards for ABE and GED, those college and career readiness standards that were used to create the Florida state standard or frameworks, curriculum frameworks for all ABE and GED courses, are already incorporating many of these employability skills. So we're going to dig deep and just try to reflect upon these employability skills. What are the different categories of these skills? And then talk a little bit more on how we can further emphasize these skills in our daily instruction. And on the backside, teachers need to be consistently cognizant of these things, because the college and career readiness standards, we can have like a filter on that when we read that, oh, I know what to teach already. Oh, we're talking about, let's say, the quadratic formula. Well, let me focus on that a little bit more and just focus on the formulas and the use of the formula, and never get into, let's say, problem solving, which is a core employability skill that we're trying to emphasize. So it's something that to keep in mind as we go and as we plan our lessons. It doesn't take much to tweak your lesson to make it rich with employability skills development. So let's talk about these core skills. So they are categorized into three broad categories. First is applied knowledge. Applied knowledge is all about the academic know-how, academic and technical know-how of the students. These are these are the things that are necessary for them to be able to perform the core functions of the job that they're applying for. Second is effective relationships. So this combines all of the interpersonal skills that students need to have in order to be a successful team player or even a successful leader, because some of our students may end up in managerial or supervisory positions immediately, depending on their skills. And they need to have these effective relationships incorporated in their daily, as they go through adult education. And then lastly is your workplace skills. So these are the things that are that helps you in your organization, in analyzing things and problem solving, and also working with the technology component of what you do in your job. There is what we call an employability skills framework. And this framework is available online, and I'm going to go to it right now and show you how you can access this interactive employability skills framework. So as you can see, before I go there and show you how to get to this web page, as you can see, employability is at the core of this graphic. And then you see the three major categories, which makes up the core employability skills, things that our employers are looking for. And then in each of the major strands, you have the substandards or the substrands where you have, for example, under applied knowledge, what are those things that are under that category? We have the applied academic skills, and the critical thinking skills fall under applied knowledge. And then if you look into the right of the graphic, you have effective relationships. Effective relationships includes not only your interpersonal skills, but also pertain to your personal qualities. Okay, personal qualities as a worker and as a leader. And then lastly, if you look at the bottom, these are the workplace skills. Workplace skills are is composed of resource management. How well can you work with available resources that you have to accomplish the job and the task that you are assigned? The use of information, communication skills, systems thinking, which also incorporates some type of problem solving in there, and then the use of technology. So I'm going to exit out of the presentation mode and go into the website for you. So the web address, as you can see right here at the top, cte.ed.gov/employability skills /. So that's the web address for this framework. And when the landing page of this website looks like, this is the landing page that you're looking at. If you hover through, you can see all of the information. What is this employability skills framework? Who developed this? What is it for? How can I use this as a teacher? If you want to know more about the framework, just hover over here and it will explain each one in great detail for you, and even give you some useful resources in how to integrate these things into your classroom. Also, there's what we call an employability assessment. So you want to know how ready your students are for employability. This is where you can look at the assessment component. Some of the lesson plans are under developing these skills, so how you can incorporate or tweak your lessons in order to make it more more rich in terms of employability skills. And then resources would be standards and assessment used to develop the framework. This is some additional resources for you to have. What I normally do is I go here to the learn more, and it goes into detail what each one is. And then it offers some videos, some podcasts, some webcast archives that have been done in the past. And some of them are very short, some of them are very lengthy and goes into detail. If you want to learn more about it, just explore this website. And if you can just go underneath the bottom, this website or this framework has been, that's been under the directive of the Office of Career Technical and Adult Education, so OCTAE. So that's very important to know, because that's the big umbrella that surrounds that we belong to. We as adult education teachers, we belong under that umbrella. So this is a really, really useful website. It's very rich. Just like I said, it has sample lessons, it has assessments, It has webinars and resources that you can go to and use to enrich your classroom in terms of workplace readiness skills. So I'm going to pause for a little bit here and see if we have any questions from any of the participants. Oh, wow. Okay, so I'm looking at here. I don't see any questions. We do have some comments, and then I'm gonna read them to you if they're particularly relevant to what we're talking about here. Okay, so so let's move forward and let's explore each of these three categories of the employability skills framework. So just to give you an overview about the framework, who developed this framework is called the Perkins Collaborative Resource Network. When you visit the website, you will see this all the time. But again, it was commissioned under the U.S. Department of Education, Office of Career, Technical, and Adult Education, or OVE. And it's for everyone. You see, it's for students. So you can lead your students to this page and have them actually exploring the web page, because it is constructed in a way that is targeting not only educators, employers, and policymakers, but also students. So we know sometimes we spend a little bit of time talking about these core skills, and then I'd send my students to the lab to explore about the employability skills framework, and then I have them reflect afterwards on what are the things that they're working on, or what are they, skills that they're trying to develop as they move and prepare for the workforce. So why is it important? Why do we have to do it? I don't know. I feel like I belabor this point a lot. This is how I re-emphasize, how important it is for students to work hard in the classroom, to try their best, even though they do not know how to approach how to approach a particular word problem, or how to construct, how to write an essay or construct a response. I always try to just give it a quick start. Try it before saying, oh, you can't do it. Having that positive attitude of, yes, I can try, and if there's gaps in my work, then that's when the teacher comes in for feedback. But a lot of this, I just found this video on YouTube, and I think it's important for us. It's just I found this a funny video that talks about the importance of employability skills. It is it's British English, but the context, I see this happening all the time everywhere around the world. But this is one that I found that's particularly entertaining. It's about a 2-minute video. So just sit back and relax and enjoy the video.
Matt and Josh are chatting online. They're both looking forward to catching up with their friend Sarah a bit later. Sarah's found a cool new cafe with booth seating. Matt and Josh are about to learn an important lesson in communication.
Sarah. Good, thanks. How are you? Awesome. Right. So where are we going? Fremantle Cafe. Okay. Yeah, I like it already. 74 Brighton Lane. Left off Lands of Parade. Down the set. Hang on. I think I better write this down. Yeah, just one sec. Sorry, can you repeat that again? Yeah. The blue door. Is there a secret knob? All right. I'll see you in an hour. Yeah. Bye.
Sarah. Yeah, okay, how are you? In an hour. Yeah. Sounds great. Where's the place? Nana Grove. I got it. Don't worry. Yeah, I'm taking this down. Blue door. Yeah. Oh, that's right near yeah. Don't worry about it. All right. Yeah. See you in an hour. Bye. Josh just learned the consequences of poor communication. There it is. Imagine if instead of a coffee with Sarah, it was a job interview with Sarah. Employers like good communicators. If you can communicate quickly and efficiently, you're already ahead of someone else whose communication skills aren't as good.
All right. So I hope you enjoyed that short video. I found it very funny, but even in the education field, my students, they're having a difficult time, just following instruction. It's not because they don't understand what I wanted them to do. It's just that they're not focusing on my instructions when I provide the instructions. That's why they're not able to accomplish. It's also the details of the instructions. Very important skill. We teach this and we talked about this in our past face-to-face GED trainings and also past ABE trainings, how important it is to really focus on details. It's all about reading carefully, focusing on the finer details. Reading between the lines is what we always say to our students. Sometimes in reading, there's hidden meanings into what they read, and it's up to the students to accurately decipher that hidden meaning based on the context of the text. It's also very important in mathematics because one of the things that we teach them is we give them is to be able to sort through a whole lot of information, a whole bunch of numbers, and figure out which numbers are essential and which ones are not essential into solving a problem. Communication, reading, problem solving, and following instruction are just one component of communication that that we need to be addressing in our daily instruction with our students. So let's go ahead and let's start off with just going through each of the individual skills that are in the three major categories of the Employability Skills Framework. First of all, we'll talk about the applied knowledge category. And under applied knowledge, we have applied academic skills. So in the applied academic skills, this is what we already do in our ABE, GED, ESOL, credit, whatever class we have. This is the reading skills. This is the writing skills. the mathematical strategies and procedures that we teach with our students, the scientific principles and procedures. Social studies is also embedded in here in a lot of the reading and the writing skills. So the content that we teach our students make up most of the applied academic skills under the applied knowledge category of the framework. The second one is critical thinking. Critical thinking, which is the second category of applied knowledge, is also very important that we develop. And what are these things? Not only being able to critically think, through word problems, or critically think in the writing component or writing during the extended response of the GED tests, or just simply writing on the writing assignment that you give to your students. Critical thinking is very, very important and is being applied and developed through those activities. But also, critical thinking skills includes creativity, how to think creatively. Not so much as, okay, well, do I have to start teaching my students art because that's not part of what we do, or that's not part of our curriculum. That's not what this is talking about. Is thinking creatively is, let me put it in the context of writing. The creativeness of the student comes in how they string ideas together to make up a coherent paragraph. So that, the students' creativity can come in there. The choice of words that the students put into their writing is also creativity. In mathematics, creativity, does not usually present itself immediately, but we always see those students that can show us alternative solutions that we never thought about that worked in the class. That is a part of creativity, because in order for them to come up with those, not only should they apply critical thinking, but they're also coming up with different ways to approach a particular problem, looking at a particular problem at many, many different perspectives. Students make decisions all the time, but we also need to allow our students to make some decisions in the classroom, decisions about what they wanted to do, and so that we can enhance and develop that skill. Problem solving comes very naturally when we're teaching them mathematics. Reasoning happens throughout all 4 content areas: social studies, science, mathematics, and language arts, and writing. Reasoning is something that we already develop. If you are applying your GED, your college and career readiness standards, you're already hitting reasoning pretty strong. And then planning and organization. Planning and organization, let me just give you an example. Again, going back to writing, you can't just jump in and start writing immediately. You need to put your thoughts together so that you can string together sentences that become more coherent. You can identify which we want to talk about first, which one do you want to talk about next, and so on and so forth. And then lastly, how you would conclude your writing piece. So planning and organizing is a really good skill, and is being applied when you are teaching your students the writing component of the GED test. And this happens in the ABE classroom as well. So let me pause a little bit and ask you, why do you think employers value this strand or this category of skill? Critical thinking and applied academic skills. So I'm going to pause there for a minute and then allow you to answer this question. I'm also going to look at the chat bar. I also saw a comment. This is from Sammy, and I think he teaches at the correction. So he said, my students are inmates, so they study vocational masonry, and upon release from prison, they become, they get released into the society as ex-offenders. And some of them will try to enter the construction job. Not only would this construction job a dream job for them, which offers them very limited opportunities to enter the workforce, but it's also a survival tool, which is very, very, very true. Getting them into these types of jobs, sometimes it's not a matter of choice, it's a matter of survival. and how well we can prepare our students for these interviews, for these field tests, or for these certifications, the better they are going to be successful out in the workplace. Um, uh, okay, so I'm seeing some of the answer here. Peg and Eric have responded to this question of why do you think employers value critical thinking skills? According to Peg, it shows a person how he can be a problem solver, which is one of the skills that we just talked about earlier when we brainstormed. Eric talked about they are like the tools. You're right. They are like the tools that you need in order to do your job. You know, your critical thinking skills are always being used all the time. You know, whereas you may not be writing all the time, you may not be reading all the time, but all the time you are critically thinking and analyzing what you're trying to do and making your you know, showing that you can produce a quality product or quality work. According to Chris, employers are able to make simple decisions without having to micromanage every person. And it's very, very important. If you can make a decision and a sound decision, and you are self-starting and you are self-motivating, then you're already a successful, you're already an asset to the company that you're applying for. Very, very great responses from all of you. Thank you for that. Now let's move on to the next category, effective relationships. So it's all about relationships, guys. Interpersonal skills can be broken down into smaller things that you can observe. First of all is understanding teamwork and understanding how to work with others. You know, when you assign them a group activity, talk to them about what are the things that they need to be thinking about as they work as a group. You know, some students would like, okay, well, we'll just let the smart person just do all the work, and then we'll just, we'll just do all the less thinking or less tedious part of the project. You know, that doesn't help them become a team player. You know, responding to customer needs. Sometimes with my students, I always incorporate some customer service readings in the classroom. Just to talk about customer service and how to apply, how to show real and genuine customer service, because we live in Florida. Florida is a hospitality state. We are a tourism state. All we do is provide customer service. So it's all the more very important that we hit this very hard. Exercising leadership roles. If you do not provide leadership roles for your students in the classroom, how do you think they're going to be able to develop these skills? So that's one question that I pose to you teachers, is that we need to provide students with some leadership roles. The leadership roles could happen in the classroom in general. The leadership role can happen within the smaller groups that you assign them with. How do they negotiate conflict? We talk about this in the language arts a lot. They're going to be, in the writing component, they're going to be given two different or opposing views, and they will have to select the one that is best supported, you know, and just by doing that in your classroom, you're already helping them navigate through how to negotiate or resolve conflicts. Or what are the basis for your decisions? And then respecting individual differences is also very important. Effective relationships also include personal qualities. Personal qualities is things that you do not need somebody else to demonstrate. So first of all, your responsibility and your self-discipline. You know, accepting responsibility for your own work and not always having to look after somebody else to blame if something doesn't go right. Self-discipline, we talked about self-starting, self-motivation. Self-discipline is part of that. And the more self-disciplined our students are, the better they're going to be in the classroom, the more they're going to be able to demonstrate that during the job interview and during, while doing their work in the workforce. Showing flexibility, working independently, Can they work through a particular task if they had nobody else to help them? This we do this a lot because we do a lot of independent work with our students. If you apply the gradual release model, you're already hitting this workplace essential skill. Demonstrating professionalism. A lot of you mentioned, okay, come in early, come in on time, dress professionally, give them a good handshake, a really strong handshake. Those are things that, on the outside is a demonstration of professionalism. But professionalism also falls under things you say, and nonverbal cues as well. Taking initiative, we already talked about self-starting, positive attitude, and sense of worth. One thing that I do in my class with my students to develop this sense of worth and to build up their confidence is to start them off with some easy word problems to develop that confidence initially. Because based on my experience, if I give them a really difficult problem offhand, they get really discouraged and then they feel that they can't do it and it's too difficult. So I usually give them, easier or smaller problems, and then I build them up to the more complex, more difficult problems to kind of develop this the self-worth, and in addition, give them a little bit of responsibility for their own education, which brings me to the last bullet, which is taking responsibility for professional growth. So we're taking responsibility for professional growth is when students exercise responsibility for their education. When are they going to take the test? What are they doing in preparation for this test? So all really important effective relationship under personal quality skills that they have to develop as they enter the workforce. So this question, we're just going to skip this because it's very similar to what I asked before. I just asked, why do you think that is crucial to any employee? I think we all understand why effective relationships is crucial to the success of any company, because rarely are you going to start up your own business. Most of the time you're going to have to work with someone. You're going to have to work with a coworker. You're going to have to work with a boss, sometimes with 4 or 5 different bosses. And you need to have some really good interpersonal relationship skills in play in order for you to become a successful team player. So then we go into the last category, which is the workplace skills. So these are the things that are that we know are developed as soft skills. Communications happen in written and verbally. When we saw the video earlier, active listening is something that we need to practice with our students, especially with technology. Students get bombarded with a lot of information that they do not know how to listen. They just filter through the information, and then sometimes through that filter, they lose the important details that you're trying to communicate, just like in the video that we just watched. Reading and comprehending written material, because they're going to be reading emails a lot, or letter, or mail, or reports, and that's something that they need to be able to comprehend and understand. And then conveying information in writing, so responding to email. Sometimes I would ask them, instead of just writing a simple essay, is that pretend that you're writing your response as an email. So just write this as an email. And I tell my students, what are the basic components of a really good email? You don't want your email to have 7 paragraphs because nobody's going to spend time reading it. That type of thing. So give them some tips and tricks on how to do that. And then observing carefully. Resource management, we'd already talked about that. Managing time. Give your students timed activity. If you give them a group activity or cooperative learning activity, give them a set amount of time and allow them to manage through that time. Give them a set of resources and allow them to manage through those resources. Give them the opportunity to decide roles within their groups to allow them to be able to manage personnel. Information skills. Give them a whole bunch of set of information, not always looking at the textbook at the main source of information, but give them multiple sets of resources and allow your students to sift through those resources and figure out which one is important, which one is supplementary, and allow them to organize, analyze that information, create some writing based on what they've read, and communicate that both verbally and in written format and you're already hitting the use of information skills very effectively. Also, systems thinking. So a lot of your students are going to enter in a workforce that already has an existing system in place. Just like entering the educational system, you need to know how things work. You need to know the acronyms. You need to know how to take attendance. Where does this attendance go into play? Does it go into the computer system? Does it get recorded on a sheet of paper? Construction has a lot of systems that and monitors of systems that they do because they have to have certain standards and building codes that they have to comply with. So and especially in the medical field, monitoring system. How do they report a patient's condition? How do they record prescriptions and things like that? Medical billing and coding uses a lot of these systems thinking skills because they have to work through multiple systems to record and encode data. And then also the use of technology skills. A lot of our standardized tests are now in the computer, are taken through the computer, and using and allowing your students to use technology in the classroom and demonstrate their proficiency in the use of technology, demonstrating their proficiency in the use of word processing, such as Microsoft Word, of spreadsheets such as Microsoft Excel, in creating PowerPoint presentations. Are you giving them enough opportunity as a teacher, whatever subject area you teach, to develop and understand the different uses of technology? So, in this reflection, I'm going to skip this question again because, again, I think we've hit this point when we asked the question about critical thinking skills. That why do you think these employability skills are supposed to be developed in the classroom? So we're just going to go ahead and skip that reflection question because I do want to give you some time to view this quick 3-4 minute video about the World Economic Forum before I summarize this this webinar. So sit back and relax and watch this video. All right. I hope you enjoyed that video. It's a really, really eye-opening video, especially for me when I first watched it. The jobs are out there. There are plenty of opportunities. The challenge is for us teachers to prepare them for those jobs because a lot of the jobs require, a lot of the jobs that are going to be created in the future are jobs that did not exist in the past. And all the more it's so important that we stick to these core framework of skills when we teach day to day with our students, because this is the world that they live in. They live in an economic information age, and they need to be able to be a smart user of that information, not and then become a part of that information industry. I hope that you were able to, or I hope that this video was able to encapsulate everything that I'm trying to emphasize throughout this webinar. I do wanted to, if you have some last comments or final word or final comments that you'd like to share, I would spend a little bit more time going through it. But as you do that, for the rest of us, I would like for you to fill out a SurveyMonkey survey for this webinar. And the link is posted in front of your screen. And if you have a smartphone, you can scan through the QR code and it will go straight to your phone, and you can immediately just type in the question, type in your answer to the question. I would really, really love to hear from you how we can make this webinar a little bit better. Again, I would like to personally thank you for spending the time here and talking and learning a little bit more about how you can incorporate more employability skills into your classroom. I wanted to just read some of the comments that you have while you are accessing that evaluation page. According to Dan, his last word is better productivity, better profitability for the company. And that is true. Every employer wants productive employees. And if you can demonstrate that off the bat in an interview, that is so, so powerful. You're already ahead of the game. According to Susan, you want employees who can truly bring solutions with problems that are being faced in the workplace. Innovation is key. And that is so true, Susan. I cannot agree with you more with what you just said. Just capping off some of the things here. Teresa was saying, thank you for all the information. Great job. Thank you, Teresa, for sticking around and hearing a little bit more about Employability Skills Framework. The PowerPoint will be in PDF format. You can download it from the IPDAY website. So if you go into the IPDAY website, www.floridaipday, which is actually posted on your screen right now, you go to that site, go under GED, and then go click on webinars, and this should be the top of the line. Please allow for 48 hours for this video to be reposted, to be archived and posted onto the website, but the handout is already there, so the PowerPoint is readily available for you. And then again, lastly, you can always go to that website that I showed you, cte.gov, and just on the search bar, just type in Employability Skills Framework, and it will lead you to a whole bunch of more resources that can be used to enrich your daily instruction with these employability skills. So with that said, I wanted to say thank you to everyone for this, for being so actively engaged into this webinar. And I will see you again on our next webinar Wednesday. Have a great afternoon.